guys, we're here, Paris from the Game Board. We are here with Dusty with Stonemaier Games. He's going to tell us a little bit more about Vantage.
All right, so as playing the game Vantage, you are going to start as a member of a spacefaring crew. You are all working together. You're going to start here by randomizing, figuring out which player you want to play, or you can manually select it. You're going to figure out what the difficulty level is, what you're going to play at, and then you're going to roll some dice and find out what your mission is for this game. There's a number of starting missions, or a number of missions in general. In this case, we rolled the dice and ended up with this one right here, which is very heroic, attain great wealth. But I guess you can use money to do cool things. From here, it's going to tell us that we're going to go on to card 1. We're still all members of the crew working together. This is where everything goes bad. The crew is notified that the ship is malfunctioning. We're going to roll some dice and find out what our escape pod is. Everyone is going to have a unique escape pod, and we're going to roll some dice and figure out where on the planet we're crashing. Now, everyone, as I mentioned, has a unique escape pod. So if you rolled the same dice and got the same faces that I did, we're not going to end up in the same location. We're like the ship. You imagine you're going off in completely different directions. So we're going to roll that. We are members of the same crew, so the thematic idea here is we have radio contact with each other, but we can't see through each other's eyes. So my Vantage is my Vantage alone. I can describe to you anything on my card. I can tell you all of my options at that card, but I cannot show you that card unless we just happen to be at the same place. So in this particular instance here, I might read you the text and say you approach a lighthouse along a lush shoreline. I might tell you that it is a idyllic beach. There is blue waves crashing into the shore, a beautiful blue sky with palm trees and a rainbow over top of a lighthouse. And what I'm actually looking at is this right here. And what that serves to do is, if you were to, hopefully I described it well enough that if you encountered this card, you would have some idea. We're only allowed to take one action on this card. So if I take one action, you would then, if you encounter it later, know that either you liked what I got and want to do the same thing, or you would like to try something different. But in this particular instance, when you're playing Vantage, you're doing one of 3 things on your turn. You're either taking a depart action, which would be how you move to another card, and it has to do with this compass rose right here. If there are numbers there, you know exactly which card you're going to next if you head that direction. If there is a asterisk, then that means there's a challenge involved in heading that direction. So the art in the game is very important. It's not just a placeholder, it means something. So if one thing to know is you're always facing north in Vantage. So if you see something off in the distance and you travel north, you can eventually reach that. If you had a mission that's like, we crashed into this planet, if you had one that said reestablish radio contact with your home planet, then if you were on a card and saw radio towers off in the distance, you just keep heading north. Those towers get closer and closer card by card. That you might be able to then use those towers to establish radio contact. And so as we get back to this card, I mentioned that was the depart action, was going to another card. There's also a location action, which are what these ones are right here along the side here. And then we also have card actions that are printed on our cards and on our mission, and other cards that you might get might have other opportunities to perform an action to do something. There's opportunities to, if you find a weapon, maybe you can actually upgrade it into something greater. Or if you encounter an animal, if you do certain things, you may be able to make it loyal to you and then be more beneficial. But in this particular instance here, we're going to pretend we're all at the same location, and I'm going to say, looking at this card, we're going to take a location action. Is there any one of these that actually speak to you that sounds like I would like to do that?
Spy.
Spy. Okay, so the spy is a purple action. We're going to take the purple storybook. In this case, it's look, and we're going to go to that entry 305, which is the number of the card that we're on, and then I'm going to read you just the bold text and the difficulty rating of what it's going to take to spy. So in this case, I might tell you it is going to be a difficulty of 2 to spy on the building. So what that means is you're going to have a certain number of challenge dice in the pool. You're always going to start with 8 challenge dice, and you add 2 per player, so that's how that scales between 1 and 5 players, or this one is 1 and 6. So in this case, it was a difficulty of 2. Go ahead and give those a roll, and I'll tell you what we're dealing with here. Of course, you rolled the absolute great scenario here. This right here is the best case scenario. This is a blank. There's no penalty at all. So this would just slide right over here and actually leaves the dice challenge pool for the time being. This one right here is called a setback, and this is actually going to come back up here into the dice pool. It's not going to penalize us in this case, but we are going to have to roll that dice eventually at another challenge. That would have been the resolution of that challenge. And then another thing to note is that every action that you take in Vantage, you will succeed. It's just a matter of what it's going to cost you to do so. In this case, it costs you nothing. But if instead you had rolled something like this, you're managing 3 of your resources. We started at difficulty 4, but this is right here is saying that this spy action is costing us morale and time. Now, if we had no way to mitigate these dice, we'd have to take, you're the red player, we'd have to move your time or your morale and your time down 1, and then you're closer to 0, which we don't want to get down to 0. We have to, it tells us that when any of us reach 0, we have to go to this particular storybook and read an entry. But in this case, that's not going on. Oh, I guess what we would do if we actually wanted to. Like I mentioned, we're working together. All of these cards, the players have a little lightning bolt on there. That means that is a dice slot that everyone is able to use. Thematically, the captain of the ship, which is a blue board that I don't have out right now, or it's right here, is good with morale. So, like, thematically, they're giving you a heck of a rah-rah speech so that you don't have to deal with this dice. You would put that on their spot right there, and then now we'd only have to deal with the time. In this case, my navigator here has an opportunity or a spot for time. I could go ahead and take that, put that on mine. We'd be in the same situation here where it doesn't cost anything, we don't have to move anything, but we did succeed. So now I read the rest of that entry for 305. You spy on the building. As far as you can tell, the lighthouse is currently unoccupied. You hear a sentient humming to themselves to the west. Perhaps that's the lighthouse's keeper. The door is locked, but the hinge looks weak. Gain 2 boost and 1 overpower. You may continue. So there's a little bit to unpack there. We've now gained a little bit of information on the card itself. We know if we travel west, we heard something humming, there may be a sentient there that we can, figure out. Maybe they know some information that we need. Your mission that time might actually be to establish communication with a sentient. So you have a little bit of information there. Now it says that you gain 1 overpower. So these tokens, that you can tell what those are right here. Basically, I'm going to give you this overpower token, but if you were on this card and you took the overpower, which on this particular card is force, if it was a difficulty of 6 and you had 2 of those tokens, you could choose to spend 1 or more to make that less difficult, to be 5 or force to make that easier. Another thing is it said is you gain 2 boost. So in that particular case, those cubes that are on your player there, someone's already had, you start with 2, but those boost cubes are actually good for, if you spend 1, you can re-roll 1 of your challenge dice. So if you were already, your morale was really low and you rolled a morale and you didn't have any place to get rid of it, you could actually say, I'd just like to re-roll that, and hopefully you get a different face, and you would have spent a boost token for that. You can also, it indicates that you can spend 2 of those boost tokens either for 1 piece of money in the game or for 1 of these tokens that would make your move actions or any of these blue actions a little bit easier to do. So this entry also had 1 more important piece of information. It said you may continue. Now, under normal circumstances, you're only able to take 1 action at a location. And so in this case, but you may continue. So was there any other action there that sounded interesting to you that you would like to partake in?
Brew.
Brew. All right. So then that's a green action, and I would take out the green storybook, and now we're going to flip over to 305. And I'm going to read you the little piece of bold text, and also tell you what that challenge rating is. This is a difficulty of 3. We're going to brew an adhesive from the flowers dotting the shoreline. So in that case, we would roll these 3 dice. Okay. You want to roll those? and another great roll, so there's no problem with those. We have the morale. Let's see if we have any spot we can use it. We actually don't.
No.
So we would actually have to take that dice. It would go into that challenge dice penalty pool, but then the orange player, you would take a hit to your morale. That would drop down. You still have 3, no big deal.
Nice,
and I would read, again, everything succeeds, so now I'll read you the rest of that right there. The longer the flowers brew, the stickier they become. Gain item 866 and continue. So you got yet another continue. Now this one, the last demo, someone had actually chose that action too, so that it's actually that card right there.
Oh, okay, so 866.
Yep. So you would be able to put that on your mat, and that one actually has a win plate ability. It starts with 3 boost tokens already on it.
Yeah.
And so in that particular instance, if you were to take a yellow action, then you would be able to use that adhesive to benefit you or to help you like reduce the difficulty. Or if you rolled one of these dice, you would have an extra place to put that in there.
to put that. Oh, awesome.
Yep. So you got yet one. So you would have put that card on your mat. You have yet one more continue.
Wow. Another
Okay,
continue.
so
the right
basically what you're
options.
saying is we're really good at this, and we
You're
need to
really
get
good
into
at this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is
Awesome.
definitely up our alley for sure.
Yeah.
Would you like to take another action?
Take another action.
Let's pick.
Pick. Okay, let's see. So just out of curiosity, because we don't have perfect information here, I'm just curious, based on the card art, what you think you're picking.
Flower.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Picking
flower.
some flowers.
We could scale the lighthouse.
You think they're scaling the lighthouse?
Maybe
There?
scaling, maybe the
Access
mountain,
the
or
lighthouse.
we were going towards it.
Access the lighthouse.
Maybe access the yellow book. Pull that one out. Do 305.
Of course, with that sentient who's to our west.
We haven't gotten there yet.
All right. So accessing the building via a loose panel is a difficulty of 4.
Ooh.
So you would roll 4.
4. Come
This is my
on.
name, so maybe that's why we're getting on this.
Oh, maybe. All right, so this one again, no problem here.
Okay.
We do have to take care of these. We have a player right here, the medic, can go ahead and take one of those for you. And we still have the morale. I think that one's taken right there.
Taken. Morale's taken.
Yep, you can go ahead and put that one on yours. And so we still have this one to deal with, but you do have some boost tokens on your player if you want to spend one and re-roll
To
this and see
re-roll
if you get
that.
better. Okay, so now this time it costs time.
I can use some time.
We have someone over there to take care
Okay,
of
so somebody
time.
could take time. Perfect.
So, all right, so that
All
takes
right,
care of
all
that. You
done.
succeeded. We'll go ahead and read the rest of that entry. It says, sand is piled around the back of the lighthouse, disguising several loose panels. You remove one and make your way upstairs. Go to interior 597. So in this case, now you've made your way into the lighthouse. We would take this card, put it back in the box. These are all numeric, but you also have these bookmarks. So if we were the purple player, then 305 would likely be in this area right here. I would just put that back, and I scouted the deck for you already. So like, this is,
Nice.
you're now on the interior of the lighthouse.
Okay.
And there's a little bit of art there. In this case, you still have the same actions. You still have some location actions. You have your depart action, and in this particular instance, because you're inside the lighthouse, there's some context clues as to what you're actually interacting with when you are taking those actions. So sometimes the interiors can be, one of them might be cluttered, and if you're doing a steal action, are you getting the mop that's leaning up against the wall? Or are you getting the sword? So they might have that skull icon
Yeah, the little
over top of
icons.
that.
So like when it
Yeah.
comes to searching, you're searching that little area, you're exiting through there.
Yep. It's
Oh, awesome.
that's just an example of now you're inside an interior. You would then, in this case, you would again have the same options on your turn.
Same
You'd
deal.
be able to, you'd be able to take a card action, a location action, or a depart action.
Okay.
All of this in service to your goal, which in this case is right here to obtain great wealth. Now, maybe that's not immediately obvious. Like, what does this mean to obtain great wealth? How do I do this? You have card actions too that give you some options. So one of them is research. So maybe if you had done a purple card action to do some research, maybe you talk to a sentient who's like, I have a treasure map. I haven't been able to find anything, but you might. And then you might reach into here, get a map, and
This is cool.
have an opportunity. Yes,
Yes.
exactly right. There's a book of Vantages, like, so without flipping and spoiling anything, there's like some maps and some secrets in there. There's a book of secrets. There's like mini games you could play. My son in one game ended up in a time loop, and there was a mini game we had to play Mancala to get out.
Oh my gosh! that's so
Someone
cool.
mentioned there was in the demo hall that they had basically encountered a bouquet of flowers, and there was some kind of like rearranging
that they had
thing
to
that
do
they
to
had
get
to
it.
do
Oh my goodness,
to be
that's so
pleasing.
cool.
But
Adventure in a box.
Yeah, definitely an adventure in a box. Oh, excuse me, sorry.
sorry.
Just gonna rip right by past you. Thank you, sir. That sounds like a mystery as you're playing the game, which is totally up our alley. Different than Wingspan, what we've normally been playing. So this is
Absolutely.
really, really intriguing. And thank you for the introduction to the game.
Of course.
Great.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yep.